What's up, everybody? My name is Kason, and welcome back to another Pokemon Draft League video. Today is going to be week number 2 for the IBL, and we are coming off a week 1 loss, unfortunately. It was a pretty close battle. It was a 2-0, so it was definitely not a stomp or anything, but I made a couple of big mistakes that I'm looking to try and avoid this week, and hopefully we can come away with a W and end up 1-1 after this week. We'll see how it goes, though, as it is a scary team on the other side. We're facing off against Metagross Maxis, a 1-0 record, so they won week 1, and we need to try and keep pace with them by winning this week. Looking at the roster, just some threats that are very apparent right away. Obviously, the Tornadus Therian, a really good Draft League mon, 121 base speed, really strong attacks, has a U-turn for priority, has access to Tailwind, and some other statuses. Really good mon. Latias is also fantastic, has the ability to levitate, really good speed and damage coverage, but there are a couple of synergies here on their side that are very, very apparent. First of all, he basically has a sand mode. He has Tyranitar that sets sand immediately when entering the battlefield, and he has a couple of sand abusers. Now, Excadrill has the ability Sand Rush, which allows him to be double speed when inside that, and as you can see, with an 88 base speed stat, he's going to outspeed even a Dragapult, which is really terrifying. He also has Houndstone, who also has Sand Rush, so he has a very clear angle here where he could play a Sand team. He also has a Grassy Terrain mode with Rillaboom and Hitmonlee, who happens to be a Terra captain for him. So Terra Hitmonlee, he is not the fastest guy, only 87 base speed, but a really high attack stat, and being able to Terra can legitimately take over the game, very similarly to if you've seen my PUDL videos where I ran Hawlucha with Indeedee. This is basically the same concept. In fact, the team I'm facing off against, even though they're all different mons, has a very similar concept to my other team. He has a weather mode and a terrain mode. So basically trying to find out whether he goes weather or the terrain. I'm not entirely sure which one he goes, but I need to obviously be prepared for both versions. Heading into this week, we're starting off with our designated lead, which is Guesswork, our Zoroark Hisuian. Now, this guy, unfortunately, died before he ever got to click a button last week because I put him in a 50-50 situation and I got the call wrong, unfortunately. But this week we're running choice specs with a max speed, timid nature, max special attack investment with the moves Bitter Malice, Hyper Voice, Focus Blast, and U-turn. Now essentially this guy should outspeed the vast majority of the opponent's team. Unless we see something like that Tornadus on the other side, we should pretty much be outspeeding everything. The Bitter Malice goes really hard into his team as it is not resisted by very many Pokemon at all on the other side, and the Pokemon that do resist it, such as the Tyranitar, do not want to be hit with this attack because Bitter Malice lowers their attack by 1 stage, which means even if they don't take a lot of damage from it, it's going to weaken them, which is bad news for them. Hyper Voice is here for coverage to hit any Pokemon that cannot be hit effectively by the Ghost type. Focus Blast is here very specifically for the Tyranitar. Now, there is a chance that this still doesn't one-hit KO because Tyranitar is ridiculously bulky to special attacks, especially when in the sand, as his special defense goes up by 1 stage. However, if he's chipped a little bit, Focus Blast can potentially just chunk the hell out of him, which can be really, really nice. And if he isn't a bulky variant, this might one-hit KO. U-turn can also be here for pivot. Ultimately, I plan on disguising this guy on turn 1. I said last week I didn't want to do that because I thought it was obvious, but ultimately I want to get value out of this thing, and I want to start the game off with momentum. I want my opponent thinking, okay, like what do I do here? Which Pokemon is this actually? I want them to try and have to make decisions right out of the gate. Hopefully I can get a little momentum and go from there. And the Pokemon that I plan on disguising Hisuian Zoroark as is our Machin X Iron Treads. And now the reason for doing this is because Iron Treads is typically a really strong lead in general. He has Stealth Rocks, he has Hazards, he has Rapid Spin, he's just a good lead in general. So disguising Zoroark as him, it is not suspicious or not weird that we're leading as Iron Treads, because that's something that I normally would do often. We have 252 into HP, 36 into attack, and 220 into speed, so that we outspeed most of his team. We are obviously the Core Drive ability as always, but we are not running Booster Energy this week. We are running the Shucca Berry because of the super effective ground types on the other side. The reason for this is because we are the exact same typing as Excadrill on the other side. We have Ground Steel, he has Ground Steel. They're honestly very similar mons except for the Sand Rush on the other side. So the thing here is that if we are running the Shucca Berry, we take 50% of a super effective ground type attack compared to what we normally would. So in a situation where that Excadrill is faster than us in sand, we can bring in Iron Treads, he earthquakes us, we will live because of our Shuckaberry, we will earthquake back and one-hit KO him. So this is ultimately designed to beat that Excadrill on the other side and honestly just be a good physical wall in general. Earthquake is here, like I said, for that. Knockoff is here to get rid of items. Stealth Rock, obviously just to set up hazards, can be nice. And Volt Switch is here for momentum to switch out into something else. Just as I said earlier in the video, how Bitter Malice goes pretty hard into the other team, Shadow Ball does as well. And this is why we are running it as the only attack move for our Dragapult this week, as we are running a supportive set rather than an offensive set. And this is one of the things that I absolutely love about Dragapult, is he can do so many things. You can run Choice Band, Choice Specs, Choice Scarf. You can run him as a Dragon Dance user. You can use as utility. He can do anything. And this week, we are using him as a support mon. 220 into HP, 224 into speed so that he outspeeds everything, and 64 into special attack with a modest nature. Meaning, with the Infiltrator ability, even without a ton of special attack investment, Shadow Ball is still going to chunk really hard into the opposing Pokemon. We have the item Light Clay so that we can set up screens effectively on our team, and they will last 8 turns instead of 5, which means with some of the other Pokemon that we are running this week, they are going to resist damage really, really well. We also have U-Turn to move into another Pokemon. One Pokemon making his debut this week, though, is Mr. Aloha, our Incineroar, aka Uncle Iroh. We got 252 in HP, 252 into defense with a defensive boosting nature and 4 into special defense as well. This guy's rocking heavy-duty boots so that if the other team sets up any hazards such as Stealth Rocks or Spikes or anything like that, when we switch in, we will not take any damage from that when we come in. And not only are we not going to take damage from that, but we're going to lower the attack stat of the opposing Pokemon just for coming into the battle. If that wasn't annoying enough for some of these physical threats on the other side, we also have access to the move Parting Shot, which lowers physical and special attack by 1 stage. This guy, even though he is weak to ground and rock type attacks, can actually be a decent switch in into something like a Tyranitar or an Excadrill on the other side. He's basically going to get hit super effectively by a lot of things, but it kind of doesn't matter because he lowers the attack stats so much, and we have so much investment into our physical bulk. So I expect this guy to be a really, really useful Pokemon this week to basically mitigate damage from the other side, allowing us to find an opportunity to get somebody else into sweep. We have Flare Blitz here to basically just deal as much damage as possible. Sunny Day, because of that sand on the other side, I wanted to at least have one Pokemon who can manually set the weather. It might be a situation where sand is up, Tyranitar might have died, and an Excadrill could come in soon. If I set Sunny Day, well, now all of a sudden that Excadrill is nowhere near as much of a threat as he could be. Ultimately, we are also running Brick Break if he decides to build up screens, as he does have some Pokemon that can be a good weakness policy user, and Brick Break is ×4 super effective into that Tyranitar. And if you haven't caught my drift, I am concerned about the Tyranitar. I want to get rid of him. The 5th Pokemon that we are bringing this week is our Kayuma, aka Quaquaval, and this week we are not locking into a Choice Band because he does technically have a Water Absorb user on the other team, Volcanion. Now, what are the chances that 2 weeks in a row we face off against a Pokemon that has the ability Water Absorb? But that is not going to scare me out of using this guy because I think he can still be really strong. We just have to not lock ourselves into Aqua Step. So, that being said, with 180 speed, we have 76 in HP and 252 with an adamant nature into attack. This thing is built to hit hard as hell with the item Life Orb and with an Aqua Step. After one single use of it, we will outspeed the entire enemy team. We have Close Combat also to deal just as much damage as possible. Ice Spinner is here because not only is it super effective into some of the Pokemon, but it's also here to get rid of the grassy terrain on the other side if that is an issue. We also have Swords Dance to boost our attack, so given the opportunity, I think Kayuma could potentially sweep his team. But last but not least is our Terra Captain Greatestness, aka Iron Thorns, making his debut this week. This Mecha Tyranitar is awesome this week for a very specific reason, because Metagross Maxis, shout out to him, the player we are facing off against this week, made a really awesome draft recap video. I highly encourage you guys to go check it out, but he talks about how he came back from the Godzilla movie before making his team and ultimately made a Godzilla team, Godzilla versus Kong. Rillaboom is Kong, Tyranitar is Godzilla, and so I have to bring my own Godzilla to combat his Godzilla. So it's going to be a fun one this week. We've got 60 EVs into HP, 252 into attack, and 196 with a Jolly Nature. making this 251 speed, just like our Quackle, which means after a +1 speed boost, you know this thing is outspeeding everything on the enemy team. We are running the item booster energy, which means when we come in, we get a 30% boost to our attack stat, which is just ridiculously high already. This thing is going to hit so hard, and after a Dragon Dance, which boosts our attack 1 stage again, and the speed boost, you can already tell this thing is going to go absolutely nuts. We have Stone Edge and Earthquake for good coverage, as it does hit a lot of the Pokemon on his team. And I forgot to put it on the screen, but this week we are running Terra Grass. Now, this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, Terra Grass is a really good defensive option this week because he has a lot of ground attackers, especially with that Excadrill. Iron Thorns is 4 times weak to ground damage. However, when we switch into the grass type, now all of a sudden, instead of a 4 times weakness, we resist it. Not only that, but if he brings the Rillaboom by chance, Rillaboom will set grassy terrain, making it so that our Terra Blast does even more damage than it normally would. Ultimately, I think this Iron Thorns is set up for success this week. I'm hoping that we could potentially get a sweep with him because I think it is very possible that he could get set up for that. We'll have to see how it goes, guys. So without further ado, let's jump into the match. All right, guys, we're about to load into the match against Metagross Maxis right now. Looking forward to the Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla matchup. I really hope he brought Tyranitar. Because of his Godzilla themed team, I really hope he brought him. Even though he's scary, I would love to see this matchup. I think it'd be really fun. Please tell me Tyranitar is here. He is here. Let's go. Okay. So this is going to be fun. So one thing I'm surprised about is he brought sand and grassy terrain. The reason I'm surprised about this is grassy terrain actually reduces how much damage Earthquake does. So it's a little bit of a counter synergy there, but definitely not going to underestimate the team. He does have the Volcanium, which is frustrating. Never faced one before. I understand what it does, but I've never faced one. And it does have the Water Absorb for our Kayuma, which I don't love. But ultimately, I think I need to write these mons down. So ultimately, I think we're in a good position as long as we don't let Excadrill or Hitmonlee get too crazy. So we're going to lead Guesswork here with the choice specs, and I need to make sure to lead Magenex last. Okay, so I like this. So I'm curious to see who he leads. If he does lead Tyranitar, I'm hopefully going to catch him off guard with just a Focus Blast on turn 1 from our Zoroark, which would be ideal. If he leads anything else, I'm probably going to either Bitter Malice or U-turn, but we'll see. And his trainer card has the shiny Iron Thorns. That's too funny, actually. So he goes Houndstone. Okay. I'm just going to Bitter Malice. I have Choice Spec Bitter Malice. This thing dies in 1 hit if I get to hit it. As much as, you know, I wouldn't want to reveal already, I don't have a reason not to click Bitter Malice here. If he switches, something has an attack drop. If he doesn't switch, I think I just knocked this thing out in 1 hit. We'll see if he switches. He does not switch. I think this thing is dead, unless he's Sash or AV. Oh, dude, let's go. What a great start. All right, Zoroark already leads off with a kill, which means he is already having a better start than he did in week 1. Last week, he did nothing. Obviously, he realizes this is Zoroark now. Bitter Malice is not something that Iron Treads gets. And he goes Tyranitar, which is fine. The problem here is I don't want this thing to Dragon Dance. I kind of want to... I'm locked in, so I'm locked into Bitter Malice. It's not going to do a lot of damage, but I might just... I kind of want to click it to get the attack down. On the other hand, though, I could go Mr. Aloha to Intimidate. If I Bitter Malice, it's not going to do, like, any damage, but it's going to at least drop the attack. And there's a decent chance he just swaps out. This way, at least if he Dragon Dances, he'll be faster, but he won't have an attack boost. Mr. Aloha feels like a good switch, though. He should take anything here pretty well, I think. And he probably goes for a Crunch, right? He probably goes for Crunch because it's super effective. That would be ideal. If we swap into a Crunch, a -1 Crunch, we're going to take, like, no damage whatsoever. That's best case. If he goes for Dragon Dance, at least he's neutral. Okay, he's not Clear Amulet, which is great. He goes for Knockoff. That's fine. We lose our boots, but honestly, we take that extremely well. And this is why Mr. Aloha is so damn good. Incineroar's a monster. So now I kind of want to close combat this thing. There's a decent chance it switches out, but I can't resist this close combat. He does switch. Damn, dude. I think that would have just knocked out Tyranitar. We would have been an amazing start if he stayed in. He goes Volcanion. So we'll see. This should do a little chunk. Nothing crazy. We have no attack investment. There's a little bit of chip. That's fine. So now, obviously, we got to switch out. This thing, I think, is faster than us. We have, like, no speed investment. So I don't think we can afford Departing Shot. So we need to swap into... Aquaval could be a decent swap because it's water. Honestly, Jesus LBL feels like a pretty good spot here, too. Resist both fire and water type attacks. So like the things it wants to hit for most, we resist, and we can just set up a screen when we come in. That feels like a pretty good option. Yeah, I think we just swap here. So I'm hoping to see his, whatever it's called. It's like Hydro Steam or whatever it is. His water attack. Honestly, water or fire is perfectly fine. So he's thinking about this one. Hold up, I have a Discord message. Okay, guys, long story short, we disconnected somehow. I'm not sure what happened, but somehow the fight disconnected. Fortunately, we're only 3 turns into the fight, so Metagross, Maxis, and I just remade the fight up to this point. So we switch in the Jesus LBL. He goes for Steam Eruption, which honestly does a decent chunk to us and gets the burn. But that's fine. Honestly, we take the chunk. We could go for screens. We could go for a light screen to resist damage. Dragapult's not here to sweep, and he's a special hitter this week, not a physical. Although this burn and sand is chunking. So Shadow Ball can still hit decently hard, but I don't think we kill from here. If we light screen, we should live any 1 turn from this thing. We could U-turn out, though. The only thing I'm concerned about U-turning is like a weakness policy of Tyranitar, but there's really not anything else that I want to switch into at the moment. Yeah, I think I just go for light screen here. So he switches, which is fine. So we don't take damage. We get 8 turns of a light screen, which is great. Honestly, he doesn't have a lot of special attackers. He's mostly physical. And he does get the Sand Rush Excadrill in here now. So the one problem with this is now I can't switch in the Iron Treads because even though he's Shuckaberry, Excadrill will outspeed, which means, and he outspeeds us right now. So I can't go Greatest Ness, obviously, because we haven't Terra'd yet. I think I go Mr. Aloha again. He's just the designed physical defense switch. Obviously, he could hit us with an Earthquake, which is super effective, but this is a big turn for him. I think worst case scenario would be like a Swords Dance from him. I feel like I almost need to sack something. No, I'm going to go Mr. Aloha here. I at least get the Intimidate, so if he goes for a Swords Dance, he'll only be +1 instead of +2. And if he tries to go for another one, get greedy or something, we could Flare Blitz maybe. Let's see what he goes for, though. So he's going to be -1 at least right now if he hits. He goes for Iron Head. Let's go. Instead of Earthquake, that's actually so much better. The Sandstorm's gone now, too. I was not paying attention to the sand turns, but I wonder if he was either because that sand is now gone. Which means we're really not threatened by this thing that much. We might actually be able to safely switch now. So sand is gone. We still have 6 turns of light screen. It doesn't do anything for this guy, but Flare Blitz could be a decent look. I kind of think this thing just switches though, right? It doesn't have the speed boost. We threaten with a Flare Blitz. Earthquake should not kill us at -1. So I kind of think Parting Shot is the way. I also could go Sunny Day, assuming he switches into Tyranitar. I don't think he would do that because we've shown the close combat. So he swaps, which makes sense because he's -1. Dude, this Incineroar is already putting in so much work. Mr. Aloha going crazy. Oh, dude, imagine if we Flare Blitzed here. We didn't Flare Blitz, but imagine if we made that call. He actually sent in a Grass type on that. That's crazy. So we Parting Shot. So this Rillaboom's at least -1. Man, I'm like honestly kind of tempted to bring in the Terra Grass Iron Thorns here, but I think I need to chip Pokemon down a little bit more before I do that. Oh man, I'm tempted, but I don't think I can. I can't bring Jesus LBL in here because he has Grassy Glide, so between that and the burn, he might kill, especially if he's like Choice Band. I honestly don't have like a really great switch into this. I kind of think I need to go, almost want to just go Guesswork and get a chip down. He's -1. I think I want to go Guesswork here because I can just Bitter Malice for free again. And I don't think a -1 Grassy Glide kills unless he's Choice Band maybe. So we just get a chunk again. He's probably going to predict this is Zoroark, I'm guessing, which means he probably goes into the Tyranitar again. But I don't think it's worth predicting the Focus Blast. We're just going to Bitter Malice and see what happens. So that's a good chunk onto the Rillaboom, which is great. Because honestly, this guy is pretty bulky. Goes for Knockoff. Okay, so we live, though. So obviously, we reveal we're Zoroark now. We live, though, and we're going to be faster than most things. He does have Grassy Glide, though, which means we would die on the next turn. So I kind of don't want to keep this thing in. And now we just go right back into Mr. Aloha for all day. This is free because now we get him to -2 and there's nothing that he can hurt us with really here. Even if he goes for, he might get a fighting type attack or something. It really shouldn't do that much at -2. So We should be in good shape. God, I love having an Intimidate user. It's so good, dude. This is the one Pokemon I don't understand why he's only 8 points in Draft League. I understand this is singles, not doubles, but this guy's crazy. Like, look at how much work this guy's putting in just by switching in, and I'm causing so many switches and so much trouble for the other team. I feel like he's gonna go Tyranitar here. Kind of want a sunny day. Actually, last time he went Volcanion, he probably does that again, right? He probably goes right back into Volcanion on this thing. So I just Parting Shot. If he goes Volcanion, oh, he U-turns. This is great. We take barely anything from that. He's going to swap in, but we're going to get the priority switch. And this is why a slow Parting Shot user is so good, especially if you don't run Clear Amulet. Honestly, aside from our Dragapult being chunked, this game is going really well, I think. We haven't done like a ton of damage to the other team, but we've whittled stuff down enough. Like, we've whittled down some of the bulkier mons. Like, Volcanion's got some chip, Rillaboom's got some chip. Those are the things that are harder to one-shot. Tyranitar needs some chip, but if we can get it on Tyranitar, I think we could get an Iron Thorns later and just set up. Especially if he gets this Grassy Terrain going with Terra Grass, it could be huge. Tell me we didn't disconnect again. Please tell me we didn't disconnect again. I hope he's just taking a while to think. If we DC'd again, this is going to be tough because oh, thank God. I did not want to remake that many turns. Okay. Parting Shot comes out, so we -1 the Volcanion. So we get this switch right. So he goes into Volcanion just like he did last time, which is great. And now, this thing has Water Absorb, so I can't go Quaquaval here. Do I just chunk this thing again? I think I just chunk it again with Guesswork. If I lose Guesswork, it's not the end of the world. We lost our Choice Specs. We lost our Illusion. This thing already got a kill. That's so funny that it still shows us, even though it's very clearly Zoroark, because we haven't brought out Iron Treads yet. Our HP bar's lower. We just Bitter Malice again, I think. If he switches into something, it loses an attack drop, does a good damage. He swaps again, so this Zoroark is honestly putting in a good amount of work. It's getting good chunks, attack drops. I feel so stupid for the way I swapped it in last time, but it was like a hard read and I got it wrong. Bitter Malice, not doing much damage obviously, but it does lower the attack. Grassy Terrain's going to heal it back up a little bit. So now we Focus Blast. The Choice Specs being gone is actually huge. Oh, we missed. Oh my God, that Focus Blast would have done so much damage. And he stayed in on it. Damn, dude. The 70% accuracy. But, like, it wouldn't have died without Choice Specs, too. But that Focus Blast would have done so much to the point where I think Iron Thorns could literally just sweep right here. Now, do I bring in Quaquaval against this thing? Just close combat? CC for free? I have a few decent options here, I think. I could go Greatestness and just Dragon Dance with Terra Grass. I think I kind of want to do that. I think, honestly, both Greatestness and Quaquaval look good here. But we're going to go for it. We got the Booster Energy. We have EQ for this thing. So if we Terra Grass, we're going to take, like, nothing from Earthquake. So I think we just Terra Grass Dragon Dance on turn 1. And we're going to be in a spot where we're going to pretty much one-shot everything. So we should outspeed everything. I don't know what I'm missing, but we should be in a really good spot. Yeah, I mean, we already popped the Booster Energy here. There's no reason not to just Terra Grass Dragon Dance. This thing could be like a weird mix set with like a Flamethrower. He switches. Oh my gosh. This is so good, dude. Free... Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that is the bat. That is not good for him. That is not good for him, I don't think. Oh boy, that is not good for him. He must be setting up the Grassy Terrain for Hitmonlee, but yeah, this is rough for him because now he set up the Grassy Terrain for me, which means our Grass Terra Blast does even more damage. Oh boy, this could get really interesting. So we get the Dragon Dance, we're +1 attack, +1 speed. I think we're cooking. I think we're cooking. Oh man, I'm really glad I didn't go Quaquaval because I would have close combated last time and I think he could just counter with a CC because I don't know. Actually, close combat might have killed. That's fine. So now we can't Terra Blast. I think we have to hit a Stone Edge. If we hit this Stone Edge on Rillaboom and kill it, I think it's game over. Legitimately. 80% accurate. We missed our 70% Focus Blast. Tell me we hit this Stone Edge. Stone Edge is the only thing that kills because Earthquake is resisted and it's in Grassy Terrain. Stone Edge hits. Oh, Greatestness. Iron Thorns is popping off, dude. Let's go. We are +1 speed. +1 attack, plus the booster energy. With Terra Grass Grassy Terrain, Terra Blast is just going to nuke the shit out of almost everything. Excadrill dies in 1 hit. Tyranitar dies in 1 hit. I don't know how many turns of sand left he has, but he can't one-shot with anything. So he goes Hitmonlee. This is the right call. He should be able to chunk us. Is he Grassy Seed? Yep, he is. Okay. Does make sense. But even with the +1 defense, we easily one-shot this thing. So unless he crits us with something, I don't think this thing can kill us. This thing should not be able to one-shot us. We're just going to Terra Blast. Mecha Godzilla, man. Oh, man. He could Terra... Wait, what are his Terras? Did I even think about this? Wait, what are his Terras? He's Terraing right now. We're about to find out. I feel so stupid. I didn't even look to see what he could Terra into. Terra Electric. Oh, let's go. All right, we're golden. We're golden, dude. We're fine. I don't know why he Terra Electric here. Maybe to avoid Earthquake, but the Grassy Terrain neuters that damage anyway. That's good damage, but it doesn't kill, which means now he's back to even defense. And now he definitely doesn't live this Terra Blast. So Iron Thorns claiming another one. Honestly, the only thing that can stop this thing is priority, I think. Or, to be fair, Excadrill in the sand could kill. I should have looked at the sand turns. That's a mistake on my part. So it goes away. So now if he brings T-Tar in here, Excadrill can potentially do something. But I think he needs to basically Rock Slide flinch us. So this should be a T-Tar. Oh, no, but... Oh, no. I don't know why he did that. Oh, we just win now, right? Why did he bring in Excadrill when the sand was gone? That had to have been a mistake. That had been an accident, I think. Yeah. Good night. Good night, Excadrill. Oh, boy. Man. I don't think he could have done much about this anyway. But if he brought in Tyranitar and then the Excadrill... He could have potentially, like, he would have at least outsped us. So, I mean, Volcanion comes in now. The Grass Terra Blast kills again. Yeah, we just rip it. Rip another Terra Blast. This should be another kill. Unless there's something that I am not thinking about. This should be game over. Volcanion's going to drop, and the only mon left is Tyranitar, and there's no way a super effective Terra Blast, especially on Grassy Terrain, doesn't kill Tyranitar. Although Grassy Terrain disappears... but now, actually, we can just Earthquake. Earthquake is stronger. Well, is it? No, not with Terra. I think Terra Blast is still stronger. Yeah, Terra Blast is 80, but we are the Grass type, which means with Stab, it's 120. Earthquake's only 100, so Terra Blast is the play every single time. So we click it, and it should be GG. Unless he's like Rindo Berry, which would be wild, this is game over. Yep, it comes off. This should one-shot, I think. Yep, there it goes. And Greatestness in his debut just pops off with 5 straight kills, a huge sweep. And this is why I put priority on this guy in the draft. Honestly, I think Terra Iron Thorns is just an absolute monster. GG's the Metagross Maxis. Thank you for having this Godzilla battle with me. I think he should have brought the T-Tar in before the Excadrill, but I don't think it really would have mattered. He would have had to pretty much just Rock Slide flinch me to death. And even then, I don't think it would have been... I don't think it would have been doable, but man, GG's. Awesome game. Super, super fun. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm glad that we could pick up a huge win this week, especially with 5-0 differential, as last week we lost 0-2. So really good to be back on the winning side of things, and hopefully we can keep this momentum rolling. But until next time, guys, well, actually, before I say that, check out the videos down below. I will have all the YouTube channels for all the players in this league, so I highly encourage you checking them out, especially my opponent this week. He's awesome. So until next time, guys, have a wonderful day.